Hello and welcome to March 14th, 2024's edition of Chabot News. My name is Evan Netto and today we'll be covering the presidential race, an upcoming solar eclipse, and a recent SpaceX shuttle launch. In entertainment news, Paula will tell you about the recent 2024 Oscars. And finally, in sports news, Greg has the latest updates on an upcoming boxing match between Mike Tyson and Jake Paul. All that and more coming up on today's edition of Chabot News. President Joe Biden and former President Donald Trump held dueling events in Georgia as the rematch for the presidency shapes up. Both have made their nomination all but official as each notched huge Super Tuesday wins while Nikki Haley dropped out of the GOP presidential race after failing to gain much traction. Amber Worth has more.
The race for the White House is heating up as President Joe Biden and former President Donald Trump attacked each other in campaign events on Saturday in the battleground state of Georgia.
Here's a guy who's kicking off his general election campaign on the road up with Marjorie Taylor Greene. It can tell you a lot about a person who he keeps company with.
What a presidency, what a president, most incompetent president we've ever had. The worst president.
Biden repeated his view of the 2024 election, calling it a battle for the soul of the nation, while Trump attacked the president's State of the Union address earlier this week.
Donald Trump sees a different America, an American story of resentment, revenge, and retribution. That's not me, that's not you.
We all heard Crooked Joe's angry, dark, hate-filled rant of a State of the Union address. Didn't it bring us together?
Trump reached out to disillusioned Democrats to join him in retaking the White House.
I extend an open hand, an open invitation, and I ask you to join us on the noble quest of saving our country.
While Biden blasted Trump for hosting authoritarian Prime Minister of Hungary, Viktor Orban, at the Mar-a-Lago Club Friday.
My lifetime has taught me to embrace the future of freedom and democracy. And Trump and I have a very different value set, if it isn't obvious already.
I'm Amber Worthy reporting.
Thanks, Amber. Georgia, along with 3 other states, hold their presidential primaries and caucuses on March 12th as both men look to officially lock up the nominations. If you missed the last total eclipse visible, you'll soon have another opportunity to witness this phenomenon. Monday, April 8th, a total solar eclipse will pass over Mexico, the U.S., and Canada. Jen Sullivan talks to a travel expert about where to go and the best way to experience it in today's Consumer Watch.
Do you still have those special solar eclipse viewing glasses? You may have another opportunity to use them. On April 8th, a total solar eclipse will be visible to millions of people in North America, 32 million in the U.S. alone.
I saw the last solar eclipse, and there is really something magical.
Expedia travel expert Melanie Fish says this eclipse will be visible in more areas than the Great American Eclipse in 2017.
This time, the solar eclipse covers a much more populated path of totality. So that means a lot more people are going to have a chance to see it.
A solar eclipse is when the moon passes between the sun and the earth, casting a shadow on the earth that fully or partially blocks the sun's light, creating darkness like this during the day. Mexico's Pacific coast will experience the total eclipse first. Then the path enters the U.S. and goes up to Newfoundland, Canada. People in 15 states will be able to view the phenomenon, and lodging is already in high demand.
Availability is getting tight for hotels to stay in and vacation rentals in the path of totality.
This year's rare sight falls around spring break, which is already a popular time to travel. So book accommodations, flights, and car rentals now. For those who have the week off, Fish suggests planning an entire trip around the solar eclipse. So pick a place where there are other things to see and do. Most importantly, plan ahead.
Don't just wing it and hit the road and say, I'm going to drive to wherever the eclipse is.
For Consumer Watch, I'm Jen Sullivan.
Thanks, Jen. Do you still have those special solar eclipse viewing glasses? You may have another opportunity to use them. On April 8th, a total solar eclipse will be visible to millions of people in North America, 32 million in the U.S. alone. After April 8th, the next total solar eclipse visible across the U.S. won't happen until August 23rd, 2044. Kaiser Foundation Hospitals is set to reduce its workforce by more than 70 employees by April, primarily in the East Bay, according to information provided to the California Employment Development Department. Representatives from Kaiser say the layoffs will affect 49 workers at the company's Pleasanton location, 1 in Oakland, 2 in Stockton, and 20 from elsewhere around the state, mainly in Pasadena. The affected positions, predominantly IT roles, do not directly involve patient care. Kaiser wants to emphasize that no employer locations are closing. The affected employees were officially notified on February 26th, and the permanent layoffs will take place within 60 days. In a statement, Kaiser said the layoffs are difficult but necessary. Despite these recent cutbacks, Kaiser Permanente, with a workforce of approximately 220,000 employees and 24,000 physicians nationwide, currently lists nearly 5,000 open positions, including more than 3,300 in California. Chabot College is seeing a lot of new changes to its layout. Chabot will soon unveil its new library, which is under construction next to Building 100. Chabot's had its current library for over 60 years. It's been a great place to study and has provided people with many happy moments. A large reason why the library has been so memorable is the dedicated staff. Moving on to our second campus renovation, the science lab is getting redone. Campanella Construction, which is based out of Byron, California, is demolishing the science lab on March 6, 2024. The new science lab, which is set to have 3 floors, is estimated to be complete in late 2026. Remember to be careful if you see cones or detour signs. Safety is a top priority here at Chabot. Now, we go to Paula Katakatika for a look at this week's entertainment news.
Thanks, Evan. Apparently, Taylor Swift's songwriting skills may be somewhat genetic. The performer is related to famed poet Emily Dickinson, according to the company Ancestry. Company officials posted a statement saying Swift and Dixon are 6 cousins 3 times removed. To be more specific, both female writing stars descended from a 17th century English immigrant. He was the 6th and 9th great-grandfather to Dixon and Swift. Respectively, Swift mentioned Dixon's influence during her 2022 acceptance speech for Songwriter Artist of the Decade Award from the Nashville Songwriters Association International. And in what may or may not be coincidence, Swift's newest upcoming album is titled The Tortured Poets Department. Barbie and Best Picture winner Oppenheimer helped to boost the number of viewers for the 96th Academy Award to the highest ranking in 4 years. According to Nielsen data, this year's Oscars, hosted for the 4th time by Jimmy Kimmel, and had 19.5 million viewers. That's a 4% jump over last year. The strategy by the Academy and ABC to go with an earlier start time this year, on the first day of daylight saving time, seemed to have worked. More people stayed up and watched until the end. Plus, the final audience will grow more this week due to playback of the show. The rating rebound comes after the Oscars had an all-time low in viewership for its 2021 show due to the pandemic. There's also a consistent speculation about the Oscars' importance. Are they rigged? Is the awards show snub entertainers who generally deserve an Oscar? Is the event itself overrated? We sent our reporter Jasmine Bester to ask people their thoughts on the Oscars. Here's a closer look.
I think it's important. It's good too for us to see what's out there, what the new stuff everybody is doing.
Then again, I wasn't surprised by Oppenheimer because it was a great film. So many star-studded people in that movie, so I think Oppenheimer deserved the 7 that they got.
I don't really care who wins because, maybe it could just be rigged, or it could not be rigged. I don't know, but may the best celebrity win.
Besides seeing John Cena naked, that was pretty good.
I think the Oscars are definitely just overrated a bit.
In terms of being overrated, yeah, I'd say so, more or less, because all it really is actually, I guess you could say, it does give some acknowledgement to actually some really good accomplishments, but however, I would definitely say that there's actually a whole lot more people out there that would actually deserve this acknowledgement and this reverence rather than the usual one or two celebrities that we all know and love.
It's the time for the stars to put their diamonds on and get out there and do it. You know, I was amazed during COVID time when they really tried to do it, pivot and reinvent themselves. But no, I think it's a once a year, big time, fun thing, you know. So.
Thanks, Jasmine. Did you watch the Oscars? Do you plan to watch them next year? That's all we have for this week's look at entertainment news. I'm Paula Katakatika. Now back to you, Evan.
Thanks, Paula. Illegal dumping means time and money for the city's code enforcement and public works teams, which then have to dispatch staff to remove the debris. Under the new rules, fines for illegal dumping will increase to $1,000 per incident, the maximum allowed by the state, and police will be given the authority to hold vehicle owners accountable, as well as charge those responsible with the cost of the cleanup. In 2021, the city of Pittsburgh estimated that there were more than 1,200 tons, or 306 cubic yards, of debris, a number that include homeless encampments cleanups. While 2022 had slightly less disposal of garbage in places where it is not allowed is a threat to public health and welfare, not only creating a blight, but a burden on city resources. The city of San Jose has been proactive in going after people who discard their junk on the street, but despite stiff fines, the illegal dumping continues. City crews will visit up to 500 sites per week, trying to keep neighborhoods from turning into dump sites. We sent reporter Cole Wagner out to see what students think of the fine increase and whether they feel the East Bay has a littering problem.
I think it's fair. I think because people think it's normal to litter, like little by little, all that little by little accumulates, and the damage is way worse and will take more money to repair.
I think so. That's a fair increase. I think since the pandemic, there's been a increase in a lot of litter, especially around the freeways. So I feel like the city of Pittsburgh is on the right track with littering.
I would say that's pretty fair. I'd say it's unfair to people out there in Pittsburgh having to see all that. So increasing the rate like that should deter that a bit. I would say if they get caught, they're not going to want to pay that fee.
Honestly, I'm surprised by that because I do see a lot of trash, especially on the freeway. I'm just curious how they're going to find people, because are there going to be cameras everywhere, or are people going to be watching them?
I mean, there's trash literally everywhere, and I feel like we need to have a better, looking environment, especially for tourists and, people who are living there especially. I just think it would be better to not have litter everywhere.
Thanks, Cole. If you're looking for ways to help fight littering in your community, you can visit flowstobay.org to find tips on how you can keep your neighborhood litter-free. Chabot's basketball team is preparing to jump back from a hard loss this season. Coach Keenan, the Gladiators coach, already has the team doing early morning workouts and skill exercises in the gym, which started after the team's final game. Despite the Gladiators' loss, 7 Chabot players will be heading to Los Angeles for a statewide meeting. On top of that, multiple team members have taken on small jobs around campus. Coach Keenan already has planned out practice games and cardio workouts to help keep the team focused and ready for the upcoming season. Let's go Gladiators. Now we're switching over to Greg Driscoll for even more sports news.
Thanks, Evan. The Dartmouth College men's basketball team made history on Tuesday, March 4th. They became the first college athletes to vote to join a labor union. As Ross Keshke reports, it's a significant milestone in the rapidly changing business for collegiate sports.
We believe, the NCAA system is outdated, and we're trying to change that.
A potentially historic shakeup of American collegiate sports. Dartmouth men's basketball players voting 13-2 to officially join a union. Junior Kate Haskins says this is something the team has been talking about since before the start of their season.
I think we knew that pretty early on. We knew it had been done, but I think it became more real after we signed cards and went through trial. Won, and now today, with all the media attention, it becomes even more real.
The vote would have the players join the ranks of the local Service Employees International Union. The labor group already represents about 500 employees working across Dartmouth's campus. All of this coming after the National Labor Relations Board officially recognized the student athletes on the team as employees of the school, a classification Dartmouth and the NCAA have pushed back against. The school sharing a statement, reading in part, classifying these students as employees simply because they play basketball is as unprecedented as it is inaccurate. unlike many other Division I programs, Ivy League schools like Dartmouth do not offer full athletic scholarships. The president of the local union is celebrating the vote, saying men's basketball players at Dartmouth are treated differently than typical students because of their demanding schedules. One goal he sees for a collective bargaining deal could be a health care plan.
The college doesn't cover their medical, so they can be, injured bad for the rest of their life, and it's something they have to deal with.
Thanks, Ross. Overall, Division I athletes generated nearly $17.5 billion in revenue in 2022. According to a National Collegiate Athletic Association report, the NCAA has long sought to stop students from receiving any compensation for athletics other than scholarships, some modest stipend money, but the Supreme Court opened the door for greater compensation for student athletes in 2021 when it ruled unanimously that an NCAA rules prohibiting compensation to student athletes violated antitrust laws. Surprising news in the world of boxing. Mike Tyson, a person who was once considered by many to be the baddest man on the planet, has agreed to take on YouTube sensation turned boxer Jake Paul. This is certainly an unexpected matchup, but as the saying goes, money talks. Jake Paul is set to fight the former heavyweight champion in a boxing match that will be live streamed on Netflix. The event is set for July 20th and will take place at the AT&T Stadium in Arlington, Texas. It will be available to all Netflix subscribers. 27-year-old Paul has racked up a pro record of 9 wins, 1 loss with 6 knockouts since his debut in January 2020. He most recently defeated Ryan Borland on March 2nd. Meanwhile, the 57-year-old Tyson has a pro record of 50 wins and 6 losses with 44 knockouts. The match between these two athletes is going to be a sight to see, so don't blink your eyes. You might miss it. That's all for this week's sports news. I'm Greg Driscoll. Now back to you, Evan.
Thanks, Greg. When Dairy Queen discontinued its cherry-dipped cone, fans of the sweet treat were furious, and they used social media to fume. But now they have reason to celebrate. Dairy Queen is bringing them back for a limited time. The cherry-dipped cone was discontinued last year. An employee told People magazine is returning to certain locations. And now we're switching over to Hamza Bouja for a look at this week's top 5.
Thanks, Evan. My name is Hamza, and I'm here to present the top 5 NBA teams with the most championship titles. In the 5th spot, we have a 3-way tie with the Miami Heat, Detroit Pistons, and Philadelphia 76ers, all boasting 3 titles each. The most recent title from one of these teams was back in 2013, when the Miami Heat beat the San Antonio Spurs. And speaking of the San Antonio Spurs, they come in at number 4 with 5 championships. Coached by the legendary Greg Popovich, the Spurs' fundamental approach has brought them consistent titles from 1999 to 2014. They hope to repeat that success with their new face of the franchise, Victor Wembanyama. Now at number 3, the Chicago Bulls secured their spot with 6 championships. All 6 titles were won from 1991 to 1998 due to arguably the greatest basketball player of all time, Michael Jordan. The 90s Bulls are synonymous with basketball greatness. In second place, we have my Golden State Warriors with 7 championships. 4 of those 7 championships were from between 2015 to 2022. The Warriors didn't just dominate during that era, but they completely changed the way basketball is played today. And finally, at number 1, we have a tie between the Los Angeles Lakers and the Boston Celtics, both legendary franchises with a staggering 17 championships each. The Lakers and Celtics rivalry has shaped the NBA's history, and their trophy cabinets speak volumes. However, if I had to choose between who deserves the number 1 spot between the two, it would be the Lakers. This is due to the fact that the Lakers have consistently won championships throughout almost every single decade, while the Celtics won 16 of their 17 titles before 1987. That's going to cap off this top 5 list. My name is Hamza. Now back to you, Evan.
3 NASA astronauts and 1 Russian cosmonaut are on their way to the International Space Station. Here's a look at the SpaceX and NASA launch of Crew Dragon Endeavour capsule, which launched from Kennedy Space Center. This success follows 2 earlier attempts that were scrubbed due to poor weather. They reached the ISS around 2 days after their launch. That's all for Chabot News this week. Thanks to all the students and staff in the Mass Communications Department here at Chabot College for making this production possible. You can watch us anytime online at youtube.com/ChabotTV. Stay tuned to KCTH Channel 27 on Comcast for more Chabot TV.